Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. It is such a beautiful afternoon, a beautiful day wherever you are. If you're now rising, it's a beautiful day because you're here once again and you're given the opportunity, you're given the chance to see another day and just be grateful for that alone because many people didn't get to see today. So just be grateful. Today we got such an interesting topic. It's gratitude, but we're going to put a lot of other stuff under that gratitude. We're going to talk about human design. We're going to talk about shamanic energy, and we're going to talk about doula. So we are putting a lot of stuff under that gratitude. And we got such a pleasant soul here this evening, Christine Cavaliero, and she's going to touch on a lot of aspects about gratitude, about shamanic energy, about life coaching, and about human design. Because as we were talking at the back in the studio, is that many of us, we are looking for a roadmap. And when we get the map, what are we doing with the map? Where are we going with the map? We're all over the place. We don't know where to go. And there is where Christine comes in. She comes in very handy at that aspect of your life, that she can able to lead you and to guide you in a direction that is suitable for you. She will help you to unwrap that gift that you're looking for. So this evening, we just want to welcome Christine Cavaliero back to Soul Light and Body. She's no stranger. She's been here so many times, enriching this space, giving us so much of value. So, Christine, we just want to welcome you back to Soul, Light, and Body. And we know you're going to give us some real good tools this evening that we can add to our toolkit. And, listening to you, it shows that evolution happens in our lives. Because where myself and John know you from, you have evolved so much. And you have evolved and allowing yourself to become. And because you allow yourself to become, you only keep enriching your life as you move into these different phases of your life. You're only enriching your life and you're enriching others at the same time. Because look where you are today. You are today at a point whereby you're a shamanic healer. You are also doing human design. So you have shifted from where you started. So you are an individual who clearly demonstrates that, you know what, we are allowed to change as we move along because we grow, we evolve, evolution happen. And as we move to a higher level of consciousness, each time that we evolve, it brings us to a more deeper awareness about ourselves. It also helps us to understand people who are around us. It also helps us to understand in depth about gratitude, how we can be so grateful for all the experiences that we went through to reach to this point that we're at this moment. And this evening, if you're in this room, there are a couple of things that we really need for you to have this evening. We want to have for you to have a pen and a paper, a nice glass of water, and just sit back, relax, and be present in this hour. Just be present. Sit and be present because there's so many things you're going to learn this evening that are going to really help you along as you walk along this journey called life. We all need these tools in our toolkit. And what a better way to start off the month of May. This month is a month of stress awareness. And we all go through some point in our lives, we go through stress. So we want to really start off this month with gratitude. Let's start off this month with gratitude. Let's grab our journal and write down all the things that we are grateful for in our lives. The challenges that we might be going through at this point in time in our lives is only to help us to evolve. We all go through challenges. We all face challenges, but look at it with a positive eye because the challenges is what help us to move and to shift into other spaces that we're supposed to be shifting to. And don't resist. Don't resist because when you resist, it becomes very difficult for you. And then you go into a state of depression. You become very anxious. So you just got to allow. It's about the allowing. So this evening, we're going to give you some tools so you can really enhance and enrich this journey that you're walking on called life. It's not easy. We know it's not easy. But you know what? You can do it. And we are here this evening to help you to do it. That is why we created a space for you. This space was created for you. So you can come here and you can gather tools that you can use for yourself on this journey called life. So Christine, welcome once again. I am Karen Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach, and a co-author of two books with my sister Joan. She's gonna probably join us a little bit later, but we're gonna keep this thing moving, Christine.
Get this party started, Karen. I love it.
I'm now handing the mic
Beautiful.
right over to you.
Ah, beautiful. Oh, you know, uh, gratitude is it's such a simple act, but it's sometimes so difficult when we are in, like you said, that stress response and we don't know which way to turn and everything seems to be pressing in on us. It's something to be able to open. It's a heart opening space that we're in. That's the thing that we have to remember about this. With gratitude, you can be grateful for the smallest things or you can have a space where you feel completely compressed by all the life's steps and things that are going on for you. This is where gratitude becomes the most deepest tool because you can be grateful for opening your eyes that morning. You can be grateful for the people who are in your life. You can be grateful for where you are. And like you said, you can be grateful for the things that are challenging you because without challenges, you do not grow. That is just a fact of life. You will never grow if you are comfortable. And as Karen alluded before, I've changed, I've evolved. I went through a very interesting evolution where I chose to take a path of a caregiver. Um, I was working. I want to actually extend some gratitude. The person who was my mentor for the doula work has just passed away. She passed away a week and a half ago now,
Wow.
and it was I. I was so grateful for her because she was a hospice nurse who saw that there was a deficit in the hospice system because she had to do all the paperwork. She didn't get a chance to work with the patients. She was in and out. Then she chose to volunteer as a different part of hospice. She was an LPN, but chose to differentiate herself. Found doula work and pursued have no clue. This is such a huge thing. There's such a huge need for this. You need to really pursue. If you are being called, listen to the call, even if it's small. Just listen to the call. And I wanted to extend that as a gratitude for this beautiful woman who, like, recently passed into spirit. But she was the person who really supported me when everybody else was like, "Ooh, you want to work with dying people? That's nasty. Why would you do that? You're not a nurse. You don't have to do that. That's like something taboo. We don't do." And I was shocked at how much pushback I got from a lot of people. So what I have evolved through that because of my shamanic work. And this is my spiritual path. I chose shamanism as a adjunct to my spiritual path. Shamanism is really about becoming a nature mystic, loving nature, supporting nature, taking care of nature. So I have deep gratitude for this time of the year. I just planted my garden. I just posted on my Facebook page that I planted everything from A to Z, asparagus to zucchini, and everything in between. I have the sorest muscles because of the bend and snap that I had to do for 3 days planting everything. But it's like, it's okay. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful experience. So there's something to feel grateful for. That is gratitude. This time of the year is gratitude personified. We got through winter. We are almost halfway through this year. How's that one for you? If that's not a wake up call, you got 2024. Half of this year is passing. This year is flying. So what are you grateful for? Who is in your life? How can you show them today that you are thankful and grateful for these people in your life? Because this is what you get up every day to work with people. You chose where you work. You chose what you do for profession. You choose who is in your life. You choose where you profess your faith. I still sing with the Catholic Church. I because I love the music, and that's part of me. I do all those things. So these are gratitude things, and it keeps my stress level down. And I'm still a caretaker. I'm still a caretaker for my mother. I do that. I work with people as a coach. It's my additional mama, Pachamama, mama bear, whatever you want to call me. That's part of this. And I have a lot of different facets like a diamond. You had asked a question. What would you love to know, or what do you want to talk about with human design? Because I think it's a fascinating subject. I could literally overtake this for the next 3 days talking about human design. But let's boil it down to the nuts and bolts. What do you think your audience would like to hear about that?
Christine, listening to you, I can see the passion.
Really?
I can see that passion just bubbling there. And
I'll take a sip.
I know, and it feels so good that when we really find our purpose, and it ignites with that passion, it becomes so magical, and you have really found your purpose. And because you have found that purpose, you are able now to be of service, and you're able now to pour into others and able to enrich their lives as we move forward, And I would like to ask you the question of what is human design? How can an individual benefit from human design?
Okay, perfect. Great question. Wonderful. Human design, it's called the science of differentiation. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and everybody has a unique imprint. It's a thumbprint, but it is that spiritual design that you were created 3 months before you were born. You get a part of your design, and then the day you were born, like astrology, so it brings in astrology. It brings in the Kabbalah. It brings in the I Ching, and it brings in the 64 genes that we are all born with as individuals and human beings. And it puts them all together into a specific roadmap for every individual to be able to understand where they work best, how they can approach life It looks at their specific aura. It looks at things like your, we within shamanic work, we have something called nowies. If you look at that, that's energy centers. Most people traditionally think of the 7 chakras. What human design did is it splits it apart on 2 of the chakras and makes 2 additional chakras. So there are 9 centers within the human design, and some of them can be open, some of them can be defined. And from that, there are 64 gates that come off all these different, I'll show you real quick because this is the book. This is the book written. You see this crazy thing here. This is a diagram. Every human being has one of those. A gentleman who didn't start off his life with the name of Ra Aruhu, but he was the founder of human design. He had a spiritual awakening for about 7 days when he was in Spain, 7 or 9, I forgot how many days, but it definitely was an extended period of time where he physically downloaded the whole entire definition of the system, putting all these pieces together, and went out into the world to try to explain what this is, how it helps people. And there's 5 different keys to this. You can either become a generator when you're born, which about 80% of the world is. There's a subset called a manifesting generator within the generator world. There is something called a projector. There is a subset called a manifester. And then there's a subset called a reflector. The reflectors are like the unicorns of the world. So they're very rare. We very rarely find them. We find a lot of generators running around trying to be people who are manifesting their destiny. And where they fit into the system, they're great at being powerhouses and working on things, finding their passion, doing what they were designed to do, which is work on things that make them light up. Manifesting generators are the time benders of the world. What they do is they see a system and they say, I bet I can make that easier, faster, better. Take something that's available and create something new out of it. Create something to expedite, to help generators become more efficient in what they do. Projectors are sort of the middle managers, the lie detectors, the people who can suss out things that potentially are true and false in this world. They're incredibly good at seeing patterns. They're incredibly good at seeing people for who they are. And they have no ability to regulate their energy. So they really technically need generators because the generators will help them create more and help them feel and help them become more efficient. The manifestors were at one time the kings and queens. They are the upper management, if you want to use that term, which I don't like to use, but it's the people who set a design in place, set a project in place, start something. But the manifestor's job isn't to do the work, it's to create it and say to the projector, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, manifesting generator, how do you think I should make this better? Hey, generator, can you make that work for me? And they all work into this beautiful system where there's all, if they're all working in their design correctly, they become like an airplane that can take off the ground and fly. If they're all trying to be something they're not, it's going to crash and burn. So that's one of the beautiful things. Reflectors are the people who are like, I don't even know how to explain it. I keep saying unicorn because that's the best way. They are the perfect mirror reflection of the people around them. Like they do not have very many defined centers, but all the centers have different functions. All the gates have different functions. They all work with astrology, your specific astrology. So you have a design that was created, a life design, and a design that's your soul passion design. And if you can find those two keys, you can start to put together a plan to really work and actually have this beautiful experience. You can have something called life instead of having life having you and just throwing you around. Wouldn't you like to design a life? Wouldn't you like to work and do something that makes passion your purpose? That's what human design can actually achieve. And the beautiful part about this too is once you know your design and you find the other people in your life's design, all of a sudden you can start communicating with them. You don't have to feel like you are an alien in an alien race. You can communicate correctly with the people around you. You can communicate, you can raise children to be successful adults as opposed to letting them just get chewed up by the system. That would be a beautiful use for human design. In fact, Ra Uruhu said that that is the one thing he wanted to do. He wanted to go to all the parents and say, you know what, you guys might be beyond hope. Because manifestors, here's a fun fact about manifestors. Whatever's on their mind, they're going to tell you. Like they will just, that's them. He said, you know what, you guys are too screwed up. But your kids, if I can teach you how to raise them correctly, that next generation we have hope to reach the fifth dimension.
Wow. That was quite an explanation, Christine. You
Sorry.
know,
You know me, I get real passionate here.
you put everything into one space to really help someone to understand that we all look at our lives and sometimes we're asking, why is this happening? A lot of whys come up in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you're saying to us this evening that once you can do this human design, you can able to understand your life on a deep, deep level. You can
Yep.
able to understand your soul purpose here. You can able to understand the job that you should be working. You can able to
Mm-hmm.
understand exactly the different places you're supposed to be moving into. You can able to understand all the 9 centers that you talked about. You can understand the 64 gates that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because we are here and we are here for a purpose.
Yes.
And a lot of times, as I said before, we may have a map, some don't have a map, and we are looking, we are searching, we are asking the question why. But once we can have this human design in our lives, we can able to zoom in at the areas in our lives that needs to be worked on. And
Mm-hmm.
that is where you come in, because
Yep.
you're able to enhance this person's life and able to enrich them with the knowledge to understand more about themselves. Also, listening to you, you said just so it becomes easy to communicate. So when you understand yourself, it's much easier for you to understand someone else. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really good when we have these tools in our lives, because human design is a tool that was created
Yes.
by someone who saw the need for us to zoom and to go within our lives
Mm-hmm.
using astrology and human design, that we can find answers that we really need to find. And many times we're looking for answers and we really can't find it. But once we could zoom in with human design and astrology, we can able to pick up certain things about our lives and able to help our generation that is going to come after us, because we understand what's happening now. My question to you: how do you help clients integrate their human design insights into their daily lives?
That's an excellent question. Once they get their first reading, what happens is, if you remember the way astrology works, you have a strike point of the day you were born. And like I said, there's a strike point of 3 months prior to your birth. So what happens is, as with astrology, the world keeps moving. So certain gates are activated for a 6-day period. If a gate is activated and it happens to like plug into a hanging gate, which is a gate you have, and that gate itself becomes a connection, it's now called a channel. So that channel actually allows you to have kind of a superpower, or something might come to the surface, but it's only a short period of time. So you have an opportunity for a 5.5, 6-day period to utilize that gate to create a channel to get something done. There are certain periods of time where channels are more activated. There are channels of things called chaos. There's chaos channels, there's love channels, there's channels of intuition, there's channels of intellect, there's channels of insight, there's literally 32 channels. And what happens is these gates create different opportunities to express different things, different facets within your being. So what we do is I would look with the client, I would go to the client and say, for the first 6 months or so, just know who you are. Say, I'm a manifesting generator. So I have this specific role in life. I'm a generator, and I work within 3 or 4 different parameters. There's something called your authority. So you might have an authority called your sacral authority that makes you go, uh-huh, and know exactly that that's the right thing you should be doing at that right time. Or you might have an emotional authority where your body is like, yes, this is great. And then 6 hours later, you're like, I don't want to do that. And then you go up again and you go down again because it's an emotional wave. And you say to the client, you're an emotional generator, so you're supposed to be working on it. But you need to sit down for the next 24 hours before you say yes definitively, and don't make a decision. Just say, you know what, let me get back to you on that. And do it with the understanding that it's okay. Because you might have an open center in your ego that says, I have to prove it myself. I have to get approval from somebody. So you've got an open center that somebody might push. You've got an emotional authority that says, yes, I want to do this. And you have this person pushing your ego because it's open and it's something that could be influenced. And you say to yourself, oh, whoa, slow your roll. It's okay. I don't need to make a decision today. I might step back. But for the first 6 months to a year, or maybe even a year and a half, you might have to keep reminding yourself and saying to yourself, there may be pieces of you daily that say, oh, okay, well, that goes down the wrong path. I shouldn't do that. So you know where your, like, the buttons are. You know how we always joke about family members install the buttons that they push to tick you off? Mm-hmm. You know what your buttons are. You know where the parts of you are that have things that could influence you. especially like I mentioned, the open ego center. That's part of the heart that Ra believed. You have your heart center, which is basically something that keeps you grounded into the earth. But then you have an ego center. And if you have an open ego center, which about 70% of the population does, you can go push, and that person can get you to do something for their approval, or you're seeking approval. You might disapprove something without even rationalizing it. You might look for it's approve, disapprove, improve, or approve. Like, I want to improve myself. You can tell somebody who has an open ego center because they're always looking to improve themselves. I can tell if a person had it. I don't even need to look at their chart. I can almost guarantee that they have an open ego center just based on the fact that 70% of the population has it. But that's the first one you want to look at. And there are the gates that go in there. And they might get that defined center for a week. They might get the defined center if they meet another person. This is a fun one. You have a person who is the closest to you. You have a spouse and you've got a hanging gate, and they have a hanging gate. Now you got a channel. Now, is that the channel that should be together? If it's a channel like chaos, I'm guaranteeing it probably shouldn't be, but you two are magically and magnetically drawn to each other. Isn't that interesting? And you've created a different person through the two people putting yourself together. Now you got a gate and a channel. So now you two are working together for good or bad. Some people have gates of power. You might have a boss that has a hanging gate on one side and you got the other one, and you two work together and you make magic. You can get a second boss who doesn't have that, and you're just going, what in the heck just happened to me? Because all of a sudden you had that channel broken because you still have a hanging gate, and that person doesn't, and they're looking at you and they're going, what? I'm sorry, excuse me, because you two don't mesh. You don't click.
Right.
You aren't together. That's the fun of human design. I know I'm going kind of deep into this, but this is something that's interesting because once you have your own design, you sit there and you spend, technically it's called deconditioning. That's what Ra Aruhu used as the term. You have deep conditioning. And he said that to be deconditioned, to truly live within your strategy and authority, you have to spend 7 years of undoing all the things you've been doing to yourself. I'm not saying it requires 7 years, but it sure as heck is great if you know that you have an open ego center, that you're walking into something new and somebody walks in and goes, hey, can you do this? And your first instinct is going to be, heck yeah, I can do that. I can do anything you want. Absolutely. I am 100% great at that. And you're like, you walk out of there because you're an emotional whatever you are, and you're like, what the hell was I just talking about? And they hire you based on that. And you're like, oh shit, I got to do this. And you can't do this. And it's like,
Right.
oh, okay, that's great. I just set myself up to fail. But you're going to put in your all. You're going to do everything you can. You
Yes.
trust me. But there's a lot of moving parts. So you have your design, you have other people whose design clicks in or maybe works with you, but then there's other pieces of this. There are things where you're talking about astrology, where the planets are moving. So, specific planets may be in different placements, and that could be putting pressure on your design. Wouldn't it be great to know that that's what's going on? Because that's a key part of this too. So there's a lot of moving facets. And I know I've gone pretty deep within this,
Yeah.
but this is also spirituality too. This is, how are you treating your soul? You have a design, but it is, how is it treating your soul? Are you feeding your soul? Are you doing things for your soul? That's
Mm-hmm.
where I believe the shamanic training comes in, the energetic work. It's like sometimes once you know the information, it doesn't make a difference to know all the book learning in the world. If you are not doing the active work to work through all those wounds that you carried with you, because it's great to know your design, but you're bringing wounds with you too. So that's the other facet of what I work with a client is I will talk to a client to find out what is that wound? How can we sit there? I might just sit there in silence. Like, I'm going to allow you to just be in your heart space. In fact, I was doing that with a client today. We sat there for an hour, and I don't think I said 10 words to him, but we worked on a very specific wound that he had that was physically imprinted into his space, his soul, and he had completely forgotten about it. And all we did was just sit there in presence with each other, just to feel through that, to allow his body to process the trauma that had happened to him. That's where the shamanic and energetic works.
Wow. Christine, you're really enriching us tonight. You're
But
enriching us.
the beauty of this, honestly, Joan, the beauty of this is when you have a close friend, you can get somebody to work with you to do that. That's a beautiful thing. It's not myself being unique, but I have training that helps facilitate people to heal faster. You can
Yes.
get this through a religious organization, through a civic organization. You can find this in your family. But there is a beautiful thing about a third party like myself, you, your sister, any coach who
Yes.
can create a space
Yes.
of non judgment and
Right.
healing. That is literally what we do. And the
Right.
beautiful thing as a third part of this, because I'm looking at it as a triad, is that we have one life. We literally have one life from the time we're born to the time we die. And
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing with those dates in between?
True. True.
Because if you're not working on the things that have created the wounds with the people around you, are you going to be on your deathbed thinking, I should have, I could
Oh,
have? How many
yes.
times have you had a client who had wounds with a family member and they cannot even have a conversation with that person?
Mm.
This is what we are here to do. Doulas facilitate that. They facilitate it. And most of the time we're called in the last 6 months of a person's life, we allow them to create a plan to at the end of their life. But what I did was I said, this can be done today, not when you have 6 months left to live. Do it now. Do it now. Make your plan now, every single day. That's where bucket lists came in. That's when people started talking about things because it's like you only have one shot at being Karen Pascal. I only have one shot at being Christine Vilmur Cavaliero. I know everybody on this planet. It will come back because spirit goes on once we pass. It becomes something else, but you will never become that person who is going to be in the ground. That's it. So why not do something to make magic while you are here?
Absolutely right, Kristen. I can totally agree with what you're saying there, because we are each day we are given this golden opportunity to make that change in our lives. Each day we are given the opportunity. And as you rightfully said, when we get to those last hours of our lives, those last minute, that last breath, and then we go to that place of regret. Why wait till then?
Absolutely.
What are we waiting for till at that point in time? Then we're gonna say we should have done this,
Hmm.
and then you start to blame yourself for a lot of things when you have the chance now to do it. We can make that conscious choice this present moment to
Hmm.
forget someone. We can tell ourselves, you know what? Let me write this person a letter. Let them know the way how I feel about them. Something might have gone wrong with a relationship with you and this individual, but write that person a letter. Let them know the way how you felt about the whole situation. Let them know how you're feeling at this point in time. Get it off from your chest. Because many times we are walking around with a lot of stuff in here and it's really not serving us right. We are only carrying around these stuff every day. We are carrying around these things. We are carrying around hate, unforgiveness. We are carrying around so much of stuff every day, you know.
Hmm.
And what are these stuff doing for you? It's only weighing you down. It's stressing you out. It's making you more angry with yourself. It's making you angry with the individual. And sometimes the individual is going on their happy journey. You're angry with them, but they're going on their happy journey. So it's time that we all sit and we all go to that space of forgiveness and to release whatever we are taking around within our lives, because you will see the magic when you release. You feel that load is lifted off
Mm.
from your chest. When you release that person from yourself, you release that energy, you just decide to sever that knot, let it go. You will see the way how you're going to feel about that. So, and be grateful for whatever
Mm.
situation that is. Whatever happened between you and this individual, be grateful for that situation, because you're going to learn so much from that situation. You're going to get nuggets from that situation that is going to prepare you for future situations along the line. So when things show up in your life in the future, you can able to understand exactly what is happening at that point in time. And Christine, I really like when you said, that human design really help us so much to understand ourselves and to understand the people that we're dealing with around us. And
Hmm.
we all are connected.
Oh, yeah.
We all are connected. And because we all are connected, we can able to understand each other if we go through the process of understanding ourselves.
Yes.
Because once you understand yourself, you're going to understand another person who you're dealing with.
Hmm.
So, and we got
Absolutely.
to be willing enough to go through that process of understanding ourselves. Because many
Hmm.
times we are running away from it. Instead of we sitting and processing and understanding what's happening to us at the moment, we are running from it. And once you run from it, you're going to always run into it,
Hmm.
because you got to go through it. You got to go within yourself to go through it to understand everything that is happening in your journey called life. So,
Yes.
Christine, thank you for explaining this to us, because you put it in a layman's term that any young person out there could understand they're here for a purpose. They can understand that the soul is here for a particular purpose. We all will go through challenges, but if we can only go to this human design map, we can understand our direction much better if we can
Hmm.
only tap into this human design. So thank you for really choosing that field, so
Yes.
you can able to enrich other people, other souls, to understand what's difficult challenges they're facing. You can able to give them a guideline along and say, you know what, Let's sit, let's talk about this. I can help you as an individual to go within yourself. We're going to look at this chart and see the areas that are broken, and we can able to connect those areas before you exit out of here. Right?
Yes. Yep.
I want to ask you one
Absolutely.
last question before you go. What
Mhm.
inspired you to become a shamanic energy doula?
Um, that's an interesting question. I have always been seeking spiritual answers. That was something that I have been doing since I believe the day I, showed up on November 25th of 1966. It was like, oh, great. And I've always had a very deep understanding of spirituality as far as the topic. I found that for a long time, I ran away from all of the spirituality because it felt forced, heavy, things of that nature. I came into shamanism back in 2022. Bear with me, 2020, I started working to get my doula certification. So I was watching and helping people in a process of dying. And I started to see how those two started to connect. Like they had connective tissue. You're born, you die, but there's all these connective pieces. And we're all made from the same thing, earth and stardust and air and water and all the things that shamans truly work with. And then there's the ether, which is the spirit, the soul. And as I started to dive into this, I started to see all the interconnectedness of life. And the more I work with it, the more I see how it is every single thing from the ant on the ground to the stars in the sky. And I said, because I had actually gotten my Reiki certification back in 2015. So I already had the energy work piece. And I'm like, ooh, now I can just kind of connect all these things and create something. So when I go backwards in my evolution and I say 2015, I did Reiki because I was looking to heal myself from what I thought at that time a very serious illness. Um, and I found energy work through that. I added in the doula work in 2020. 2020 was when human design kind of came into my awareness. And then 22, when I took a formal training with a person who was a Peruvian shaman. And I said, wow, this all makes sense in a cohesive unit. So that's where my evolution became such a, and all it brought me was gratitude and peace to take all those pieces. And I saw that they all fit together as a puzzle. What a beautiful experience it was, as opposed to, oh, okay, well, here I am. You give a business card to somebody and you're like, oh, okay, I see you do Reiki. And you talk to dead people and you play with tarot cards. All these things made no sense in their individual forms, but together as a cohesive unit, it became how I was able to make sense of the world. And that's where shamanic work and shamanic energy healing really became part and parcel of who I am.
Wow, wow, wow. Listening to you, right? It helps an individual to understand that we may gravitate towards something in our lives and not even realizing why we are gravitating towards something. Because many times we may like to do Reiki healing,
Mhm.
we may like to do the shamanic work, we may want to be a life coach, or we may want to be a hospice nurse, or so many things we are gravitated towards, right? But there is a reason behind why we gravitate towards these things.
Mhm.
We get this deep down feeling that we should do these things. There is a reason why. Because look at you today. All of these nuggets that you have collected along your path, now you can able to use these nuggets now to enrich others with these nuggets that you have gathered through your life path. So it
Mm.
clearly shows that if we can only pay attention and go back to the things that we experienced or went through with our lives, we can really understand that it's a journey. These are the things that we have collected along our path, and these are the things that's going to serve us now to help humanity.
Yes,
And it is a beautiful feeling. it
it
makes you feel
certainly is.
it makes you feel good inside when you can show up in a space and you can hold that space for an individual to unfold, to unwrap, and then you can watch this person, the gifts just start to blossom. It's like a flower. They
Mm.
come in as a bud, you know, and you just keep pouring the water on it, on this flower. You keep pouring the water on the flower, and you just seeing this beautiful flower just emerging. You know,
Yes.
it's a beautiful sight to see. And it's a
Mm.
gift. It's a gift. When we can hold that space for an individual to unwrap everything. It's like we talk about a golden thread.
Exactly.
That golden
Exactly.
thread, it's beautiful feeling, Christine. I can tell you, and I know you feel the same way. It's
Yep.
a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
It's
It's such a good
the
feeling.
golden ticket. If you remember back, Willy Wonka, I don't know why this imagery just popped into my head, but it's like there was all these people all searching for it, but it was about the golden ticket that's inside your heart. It's who you were. It's like Charlie Bucket won because of who he was inside,
Yes.
not the fact that he was the person who bought all the tickets or whatever it was. But then I know I got off on a tangent here, but Karen, it's like once you find that, you're like you've got the golden ticket. It's in there. But here's the thing: gratitude and forgiveness will make stress less. That is the key to what we are trying to say. I am grateful for all the crazy stressful things that happen to me. I
Yes.
as much as I challenge myself every day, there are days I get up and I'm like, blah, this day blows. And it's like I don't feel like getting out of bed. But then you sit there and you say, I have people who need me. I have
Yeah.
things I need to do. I have
Yeah.
clients who would like to see me. And one question you asked, and we didn't actually touch on because you were asking me if I had brought my treasures, all the things that I have, the things that I did, and it's like I work with people if they need to get into a bath energetically. I will work with them and I will send them some bath oils and I will send them some soap. And that's what their soul tells me they need. Sometimes they need a piece of jewelry that is a specific crystal. Sometimes they need a journal to be able to write down the things
Yeah.
that they need to recognize. Sometimes they just might need to be told that they are a-okay. If you are on the Hot Mess Express and that's where you feel you are that day, if you just want to sit in Hot Mess Express land, okay, let's do that. I mean, it really is very individual. That's
Yes.
what I bring to my coaching because I'm not a Tony Robbins and I'm never going to be. But I can tell you, knowing that person personally, having worked with people at that caliber,
Mm-hmm.
trust me, they put their pants on the same way we do, and they have problems just like we do too.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people on that level are much better at hiding their problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they aren't very grateful for all the good things that they have. Now, Tony has done some really great things because he was homeless, and that was something that was very important. He feeds homeless people. That's another thing I'm at almost. Okay. Well, then, Penny, my little love, you and I definitely need to touch base because I have
Absolutely.
to. I was going to say, you and I need to touch base anyways for a specifically different reason, but
Yes.
I'm just saying, Penny and I need to touch base. The point I'm making is, and I will let you finish. I apologize for breaking in, but I think this is really important for people to hear.
Absolutely.
You can get you can literally go to Jovian Archive, which is the human design that Ra Aruhu's group created, and get your own human design free chart. And you can look and say, oh, okay, well, I've got this, and this. And you can go and do all the work to find out what the heck those things mean. Rather than doing it all yourself, why not have somebody look at it and say, hey, here's 5 things I think you should work on for the next 6 months? That's what a coach can do.
Yes.
Karen, I know you go to people and say, you've got XYZ going on. Start working on your diet, start getting out inside, getting out of your house on the weekends, start doing things, do stuff. That's what you are excellent at pointing out. That's
Yes.
what a coach does. A coach is there to be your eyes and ears and accountability partner in life. That is literally what we get paid to do.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And if you don't
So
like
true.
that, find a friend or a bar, and you'll be back to us in 6 months because your life will still be a hot mess. You just wasted 6 months.
You're perfectly right, because many times we are always thinking that there is something outside of us that is going to fix
Mhm,
us, not knowing that we got to go within ourselves and
mhm,
start put in that work on ourselves. And as we do it, we got to be very gracious with ourselves.
mm.
We really
Yes.
got to understand exactly what's going on with ourselves, show ourselves that love, that compassion, and you'll start to see that shift start to happen
Mhm.
in your life.
Yep.
And this month is Stress Awareness Month, and
Yes.
we're here as coaches, and we're here to help you as an individual. It's all about you as an individual. We're going to hold that space for you so you can articulate in that space. It's a safe space where you can articulate, you can vent the way how you're feeling. We can hold that space for you, and you can be so happy in that space because you know it is
Mhm,
safe. So you got to start to check in with yourself, know the areas in your life that is not feeling right, reach out and get the professional help that you need.
mhm.
Don't keep going around like a revolving door. I keep saying this often. I was telling someone today, you got to stop going around like a revolving door. People just keep pushing you around all the time. Keep
Mhm.
push. You got to step out. You got to step out. You got to be your own person. You got to start thinking for yourself. You can't allowing people to be pushing you around all the time. So you got to check in, and you got to be honest with yourself. Stop sweeping things under the rug and start to address the things in your life that needs to be addressed. You cannot do it on your own. Grab yourself a coach.
Yeah.
Myself, Joan, Christine is here. Christine is here with human design to give you that map that you're looking for to move forward with your life. So today we just want to thank you so much for joining us, Christine. You are absolutely
Mm.
amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time and to come into this space of soul, light, and body and to share the wisdom with our audience and help them to understand that, you know what, all is not lost. There is hope, and you can rise to the occasion by reaching out to Christine and get the help that you're looking for. It's time that we all check in. It's time that we review and reflect on the things in our lives that are not going well. We need to zoom into those areas, and Christine can help you, myself or Joan. We can help you to zoom in on those areas in your life. So, Christine, thank you once again for taking that time and sitting with Soul, Light, and Body. And
Mm.
you served us well.
I'd like to end, if you don't mind, I'd like to share something. About 8 weeks ago, I had a very exciting experience meeting a spirit guide. And I had this beautiful experience. And I, in this journeying, saw a mountain because I was very depressed about how the world had just felt like all these heavy, stressful, ugly, terrible things happening. And the spirit guide gave me a shovel. And I said, it's going to take 20 lifetimes to get this mountain out of the way. And he looked at me, and I'm saying he rhetorically, but Spirit looked at me and said, it takes as long or as short as you want it to. And
True,
that's where the coaching
true,
comes in. Do
true,
you want it
true.
to be the long path, taking a single shovel, moving a mountain, or wouldn't you rather get the jetpack to go over, look at the mountain, and say, you know, it doesn't need to take 7 years like Ross said. It takes as long or as short as you want it to.
Absolutely, absolutely right, Christine. You know, as I really like how you put it, you said, get the backpack, you know, get that backpack, and that backpack, you have all the goodies inside of that backpack that is going to take you over that mountain.
Yep.
You know, so it's time that you really zoom in and understand the things that you really need to move forward with your life. It's time. Why
Yep.
wait? Right? Why wait? Look
It's
how
all
long
up
you've
to
been waiting.
you. It's entirely up to you. You can take as long or as short of a time as you want. Whatever is
Your
it's
choice.
and that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing about humans.
True.
You can do it however you're going to do it.
Absolutely. It's your choice.
Exactly. Choose wisely, as they say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's for the audience. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Soul, Light, and Body. It's always a pleasure to read your comments. It's always a pleasure to answer the questions that you ask. Continue to subscribe to Soul, Light, and Body. If this is your first time here, welcome. A very special welcome to you. Please subscribe so we could continue to bring these beautiful stories to you and these beautiful topics to you. And you can say to yourself, if Christine can evolve, I can evolve also. Don't
Yes.
forget your backpack.
Stress.
Continue to walk with faith. Continue to believe in yourself. Know that you're good enough. You're one of a kind. You're special. And just know you have within your hands the choice and make the right choice. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of the month. Bye bye.